and Global Policy Institute President Paolo von Schirach joins me now for more on this. Paolo, what are your expectations for Sunday? You heard a reporter there in Biarritz, and what do you expect for the gathering as a whole?
Not much. Again, the host, President Macron, has already kind of lowered expectation, saying, for instance, which is very unusual, that there will be no final communique. Usually, the final communique is an opportunity for all the participants at G7 summits to show that there is unity, there's unanimity, at least on some key issues. Whatever the follow-up may be, it doesn't matter, but at least there is this show of unity. The major Western economies are together and they're assembled and they reached conclusions and recommendations on this and that. Well, it looks like there will be no communique, which means he's already discounted the fact that there are too many divisions on too many issues whereby unity is impossible. And now, as your reporting indicates, we've got these two extremely complicated matters. One, of course, this crisis in the Amazon, which wakes us up again about the issues of global warming and the fact that we are losing pieces of the lungs, the Earth's lung, which is the Amazon forest. And then, of course, this ratcheting up of the trade war between the United States and China, which makes the Europeans very jittery because they're likely to be the ones caught in between. And as their economies are not particularly strong, if there is a depression in world trade, they will suffer.
Boris Johnson is there, his first time as the British leader. I think it's Angela Merkel's last time attending a G7 as the German Chancellor. How does person affect?
Well, of course they do, because again, Germany, whatever the circumstances, is still, what is it, the fourth largest economy in the world. The United States, China, Japan, Germany. So it's a powerhouse, I think at least, major powerhouse in Europe, certainly the leading economy, and the fact that it has had now weak political leadership, and that Mrs. Merkel, after a very, very long incumbency, is on her way out, and it's not quite clear who's going to lead Germany, what political coalition is viable, etc., is a problem. Boris Johnson just came in, and we don't know how long he's going to stay. He relies on a one-seat majority in the House of Commons. And he's got to, with all these handicaps, he's got to engineer Brexit. This is really, really complicated. It's not quite clear that he's going to succeed or not. Of course, there is a talk about a warming up of relations between the UK and the United States as maybe leverage for the UK to have a stronger negotiating hand with Brussels, saying, hey, we're going to do free trade with the United States. All these things are very murky.
And that's who's there. Who's not is Russia. It was kicked out of the G8,
yes.
Hence the name. What's the consequence of its continued absence?
Well, look, from an economic standpoint, not huge. Again, let's understand, Russia is a very, very important world power, but because of its military and because of the fact that it's a country with an enormous arsenal of nuclear weapons, along with the United States, the largest in the world. But in terms of the size of its economy, it's about the size of Spain, less than Italy. So it's not like a major powerhouse. However, from a geopolitical and geostrategic standpoint, the fact that it was kicked out and not readmitted, shows these lingering tensions between East and West, and the fact that whatever the circumstances may be, the relationship between Russia and Europe is not back to normal.
I assume also a host can make a difference. Last year, Trudeau, very optimistic, even until the end. Macron, a bit of a different tone, different host.
Indeed. Again, as I said, I suppose maybe it was smart on the part of Macron to lower expectations and to say, well, we don't know exactly what we can agree on, and maybe there will be some kind of some countries that will agree on certain things and others that will not sign up on them, and there will be other, how can I say, subcomponents of the agenda. Just as a general consideration, let's also consider this. First was G6, then became G7 summits were supposed to focus on the world economy and how the big economic powers would manage it. Macron's predecessor, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, when he was president, had the first G6 in Rambouillet in France, near Paris, many, many years ago in 1975. And he was a former minister of finance. This was supposed to be about the economy. Now it's become about everything, whether it's terrorism or this, or inequality, world poverty, the environment, global warming, health, AIDS, you name it. So it's become a very, very complicated agenda. And it's not, to be honest with you, what is the purpose of all this? Especially if in the end it becomes like a weekend of chat and then everybody goes home and there is no agenda. So again, Mr. Macron is trying to be a good host and I'm sure he'll do his best, but I'm not quite sure what the point of all this is.
And I'm sure you'll be watching. Paolo von Schirach, thank you so much for joining us.